Malaysia and Singapore operations, and but Philippines being the focus because he's based here for the past 6 years. Dan?
Thank you, Richard. I'm not sure how much you had to discount this meal to get everybody to show up, but it's quite an impressive turnout, and I'm honored to have this opportunity to talk to you today about Fluor and Fluor Philippines and what successes that we've had and how we've been able to achieve it, and certainly feel free to ask questions at the end of the presentation. I'm more than happy to try and further explain and answer your questions that you might have. A lot of folks here I know and recognize. We do business with many of you, and maybe someday we can do business with others in the room. Well, I'm going to start out, actually. I want to start out a little bit. I'll just say a few words about myself. You've read the bio, I think, but I've been here in the Philippines for going on 6 years. I'm here with my wife and 2 children. Prior to that, I was in Trinidad and Tobago. So I've been on international locations for the past 9 years. I've been with Fluor Corporation for 25 years in January, and we happen to be celebrating 25 years here in the Philippines. So I feel some attachment to the office, having started about the same time I started with the company. So I'm going to start out. I guess I have around 40 to 50 minutes to talk here. Hopefully you won't get tired of me. But I'm going to start out with kind of a global video that our marketing folks have put together on the company, and this just kind of set the stage for what Fluor is. So if you can start the video.
Building is our passion. It's in our DNA. It's what drives us to accept the most challenging assignments in the world, to work in some of the most inhospitable places on the planet. It's what we do. It's the projects we execute.
We are Fluor.
We are Fluor.
我们是福禄。
We are Fluor.
Somos Fluor.
Okay, it was short and sweet, but just kind of a little introduction of the company. We're very much a global company, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. But for any company to be successful globally, you have to have a strong culture, rich in certain values. For us, we have an acronym that all of our employees learn very early on, and it's called SIGHT. And it stands for the core values of our company, which is safety, integrity, teamwork, and excellence. And those 4 words kind of sum up the key culture and core values for all of our employees around the world. And so we have a tradition of starting every function with a safety topic. And if you understand the industry that we're in, you'll appreciate the reasons that we do this, because we're trying to create a culture within our organization that focuses on safety first. And I know our friends at Shell have a similar focus in their organization, and most of our clients that we do work with around the world put safety at the top of their list, because we don't want anybody to get hurt, and we want everybody to go home the same way they came to the job that day. So we emphasize it. So I thought I'd just take a little moment to share some of the success that Fluor has had globally. Bear with me, I've reached the point in my life where I have to wear glasses now. So Fluor benchmarks ourselves against an industry standard. It's called CII, Construction Industry Institute. And Fluor's total case incident rate is significantly better than the averages that are reported by CII. And these statistics are something that we monitor on all of our projects and offices around the world globally. And it's important to know where you're trending, but it's also important to monitor what we call leading indicators. So we look at where are the incidents happening, what type of incidents are happening, is it hand injuries, is it back injuries, what are we doing on our sites and offices to properly protect against these things. So, and I'm happy to say too that here in the Philippines, at Fluor Philippines, just this past month that we achieved 15 million man hours, safe hours without a lost time incident. So within our company, those are recognized with awards, and the employees are recognized for their participation in that, because it starts from the bottom up. Okay, everybody is responsible in the organization for safety. So just wanted to share that with you and get this started off with a safety moment. A little bit about Fluor Corporation. I can't see the slides, so I'm hoping that we're right on. Oh, there they are, right there. Okay. At a high level, we're one of the world's leading publicly traded engineering and procurement, construction, maintenance, and project management companies in the world. We have 43,000 employees roughly at the moment. Now, those numbers vary frequently. We are ranked number 124 of the Fortune 500 companies in the U.S. We have over 1,000 projects going on annually, serving more than 600 clients in 66 different countries. It's not on here, but we have 75 offices around the world. The only continent that we're not on is Antarctica, and we're still trying to figure out where to put an office there. We are also this year are celebrating 100 years as a company. So besides the Philippines celebrating 25 years, as a company we're celebrating 100 years. So it's been a really big year, and then to have the good fortune of winning this award has just been icing on the cake for the company. So we've really been blessed this year globally and also here in the Philippines. A little bit about money. Everybody likes to talk about money. So revenue, we do $23.4 billion, and this is 2011 numbers. Obviously, we don't have 2012 just yet. New awards, which is important in our business to monitor, is how your new awards, because backlog is an important part of your forward projections and what your business looks like. The strength of your company is really built a lot around your backlog. So we had $26.9 billion in new awards, and backlog was at $39.5 billion. I can tell you that backlog is closer to $42 billion in backlog right now. And I'll talk a little bit about the industries that backlog is made up of. And also, one thing that we're extremely proud of, and I think it's important for owners to know, is that Fluor Corporation is rated as one of the highest investment grade levels in our industry. Okay, so we're very strong financially. And that's important when you're embarking on a $1 billion project or even a $100 million project, to make sure that your contractor is financially stable. Some differentiators for our company, and I will bring this down to the Philippines level here in a minute and more in the region, but I wanted to give you a little bit of background on the company. So the key differentiators for us as a company, we believe, are executing work in very challenging locations. We work in Kazakhstan, Mongolia, remote parts of Australia, Fort McMurray in Canada, which is the farthest northern city that I know of. In Canada, we work all around the world, Sakhalin Island, India, a lot of different locations in the world, some challenging locations, and we're not afraid to go pretty much anywhere. Mobilize diverse workforces. So because we're all around the world, we can mobilize people from our offices and locations all over the world to the project sites if needed. We linked our global engineering resources, and this is a big part of what this office has been participating in. Because we have very good structured work processes and procedures, we're able to share engineering services around the world. And I would still say that 80% of this office's backlog comes from engineering and design services for projects outside of the Philippines. They're either regional projects or they're global projects all over the world. And we share that work with other offices. And I'll talk a little bit more about that, but there has been some mandates internally within our company that's helped drive the growth in the Philippines. Our group president has mandated that every other office outside or around the world, it must work share a minimum percentage of their project with either the Philippines or India to be more competitive. So a project manager cannot execute his project without work sharing those minimum percentages. If he does, he has to get a waiver from the group president. So I mean, that's how serious our president is and how committed we are to what we call distributed execution, where we move the work, but we don't necessarily move the people. Sourcing material. We are an EPCM contractor, and in certain types of projects we have to source a large amount of material. We buy, I think it's over $9 billion to $10 billion a year in material for our projects. The engineering is a small cost component of an EPC project. Material is the largest, if not the second largest, depending on the construction and where you're doing it. For example, if you're building a big project in Australia, your construction labor might be more than your material cost, depending on the size of the project. But so we have global sourcing centers in India and China, and we buy a lot of material there, and we make sure that the suppliers and the vendors are producing the quality that ourselves and our clients expect. Meeting compressed schedules is something that we work very hard on, and we believe is a differentiator. And actually having an office here, but also doing a lot of work for projects in North America, we believe that we can offer a schedule advantage, because while North America is sleeping, we're still working. So we actually build into accelerating our project schedules by working around the clock, by having people engineer the same project here while the people there are sleeping, and vice versa. We do not work shifts. The only part of our operations here that works night shifts is our shared services center that supports our IT help desk and other functions like that. But our engineering center does not. It works a standard work day, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. Developing innovative and cost-effective project financing. I had a few conversations here about projects. We don't generally buy into the projects. We don't own the projects or any investment in the projects, but we can work with various investors and organizations to help put together finance packages for projects. If you're struggling to get a project started or off the ground, those are services that we offer. And a lot of projects have gone forward because we were able to help our clients with that. Optimizing assets over the life cycle of the facility, and this is an important part of a project, is looking at the total life cycle cost, not just the upfront capital investment. And managing joint ventures and alliances. Today's projects are mega projects, a lot of them. They're multi-billion-dollar projects in remote locations. There's requirements for local content and so forth. So we do a lot of joint ventures, and we do a lot of alliances to be able to deliver these projects. Next slide is the world office locations. I won't go through all those. What I'll highlight here is that we've been in Asia for 61 years. So we're not new to the region. Next slide is our corporate organization. So our CEO is David Seaton. David was actually here about a month or so ago, maybe 5 weeks ago. I actually have some photos of his visit, and we were fortunate to be able to arrange for him to meet with President Aquino. So he got to meet the president and visit with him. So that was very exciting. So David is probably one of our youngest CEOs, and he's on a mission to double the size of the company in the next 8 years. So we're doing a lot more joint ventures, a lot more acquisitions, and a lot more other activities to try and put ourselves in a position to be twice the size that we are today, at least in revenues and margins. He has some key reports. I'll just go to primarily the 5 across the middle there, which are the group presidents. And these group presidents are responsible for the 5 main business lines that drive our organization. I'm part of Energy and Chemicals, which is run by Peter Oosterveer. Peter is originally out of our office in the Netherlands, in Haarlem. He's been in that role for about 3 years now. Our power group is run by Dave Dunning, who is based in Dallas. Our headquarters is in Dallas, Texas. It used to be, many of you may remember, Fluor Daniel and Fluor, but Fluor used to be headquartered in Irvine, California, but about 7 years ago they chose to relocate the headquarters to Irving, Texas. So a little twist on the words there, but so that's where Dave sits. He's based in Dallas. We also have a government group under Bruce, primarily U.S. government contracts and European government contracts, things like Department of Energy, Department of Defense, and those types of things. And then we have a global services group. We own some companies like American Equipment that provides equipment to our projects and other companies for projects, large, heavy industrial equipment. We have a staffing company called TRS that provides technical resources. And then most importantly, underneath global services is our operations and maintenance group. And we do operations and maintenance on projects for clients all around the world. And lastly is industrial and infrastructure, which as of 2011, and you'll see on the revenue distribution slide, was our biggest business line, which has not been the case for a long time. Energy and chemical, or oil and gas, as many of you might know, it had been our biggest up until the mining boom about 3 years ago, and our mining group took our I&I division to be our largest. Now we're starting to see a little change in that, but as of 2011 numbers, our I&I group was still the largest. In I&I, besides mining and metals business, we also do manufacturing and life sciences projects. So we have a group in there. We do some commercial, we do transportation, and I'll talk a little bit about that. So Fluor's diversified industries, this is, I've talked about it already. This just gives you a little bit more breakdown. I think what is probably of most interest here to this group would be the energy and chemicals. We have an offshore solutions group, and we're actually working with Shell on Malampaya project at the moment. Very happy to be part of that project here locally in the Philippines. But our energy and chemicals group does chemicals downstream, offshore, upstream, and then we have a joint venture in Mexico called ICA Fluor. ICA was the largest construction company in Mexico, and we partnered with them, and now we have a 2,500 person operation, actually joint venture operation in Mexico. Probably I&I might be of interest, alternative power, solar, wind, that type of stuff. Other types of commercial and institutional, healthcare, life sciences, manufacturing. So we do a lot of different these type of projects. Power, pretty much any type of a power project, solid fuel, gas fuel, renewable, nuclear, and so forth. And then global services is operations and maintenance, the equipment company I mentioned, and the staffing solutions. The next slide breaks it down by revenue. So as I mentioned, our industrial and infrastructure group actually overtook our energy and chemicals group. My gut tells me that in 2013 that'll shift back the other direction. We're seeing some of the large mining projects begin to slow a bit. And then you can see the distribution of our organization. Just everybody loves a few photos, so I thought I'd put a few photos in here, but this just gives you, for energy and chemicals, these are some examples of projects that we did. You've got Saudi Arabia, you got Port Arthur, Texas, you've got a wellhead platform in Trinidad and Tobago, you've got China, solar, the world's largest solar panel manufacturing facility, Spain for Repsol, and Alberta, Canada. So it's just quite a bit of diversity there. These are large projects. Although people think we're a large project company only, we do a lot of smaller projects. You can't ignore that business. So I don't want you to think that we only do the $1 billion and up stuff. We do probably more projects less than that in our company. This is the industrial and infrastructure group. You can see that we have a manufacturing center in Maryland. San Francisco Oakland Bay Bridge, we're doing that project right now, the new bridge. A mine in the Dominican Republic, and a beltway in Washington, D.C., and the OT project in Mongolia, which is a copper mine. Government group, we spent a lot of time on this. I mentioned Department of Energy, cleanup at Savannah River, some U.S. Army Corps of Engineers work. We're in Afghanistan, Florida, Ohio, South Carolina, and other worldwide locations. Power, doing a lot of photovoltaic power projects in California and other parts of the world these days. A lot of government subsidies in that area, and people are trying to put these facilities in. Other nuclear projects, as well as coal-fired and gas-fired power plants. Global services, and I talked a little bit about that. We were involved also in the beach cleanup in the southeast part of the U.S. when they had the BP spill. We do a lot of work for IBM. IBM's a big partner of ours. Services, some people ask me, are we only interested in EPC? Quite honestly, we do it all. We do pre-design, function, conceptual type studies for projects. We do detailed engineering, front-end engineering for Shell on Malampaya. We did the front-end engineering, and we're doing the engineering and procurement, as well as some construction support activities. We do startup, commissioning, and then we do operations and maintenance. So we try to offer the whole solution. I talked about these core values already, so I won't touch on that anymore. One of the things that's important to any organization is sustainability. So we're dedicated as a global company to creating a sustainable business. So corporate governance is very important, and of course as a U.S.-based company, we've got a lot of governance around Sarbanes-Oxley, and being a publicly traded company, all of our financials and activities are watched over, particular ethics and compliance. This is a big one for us. We like to consider ourselves one of the most ethical and compliant EPC or engineering companies in the world. And in certain parts of the world, that can be a real challenge. So we are very selective on the customers or clients and the projects in particular to make sure that we can honor that part of our business. Our CEO sits on various forums representing our industry as far as ethical behavior. The contracting industry does not necessarily have the best reputation in the world as being one of the most ethical